They looked like ordinary jobs, a translation gig, a babysitting offer, a 2-day research study. On the surface, these were the kinds of listings you scroll past without thinking twice. But what if behind the smiling recruiter, the flexible hours, and the quick payment, there was something darker waiting? What if your dream side hustle ended with a hidden camera in your bedroom? A federal investigation tied to your name? These aren't urban legends. They're real stories, and each one reveals how the most harmless-looking opportunities can spiral into psychological nightmares, financial destruction, or something far worse. If this kind of dark, true storytelling grips you, where every click uncovers a deeper layer, you're in the right place. Stick around, subscribe for more twisted tales, and turn on the notifications so you never miss the next one. Because the deeper we go, the stranger it gets. Now, let's begin. Case 1. The too good to be true logistics job. Marcus Taylor was scrolling through job boards late one night when he stumbled upon an ad that looked promising. Remote logistics coordinator needed. $4,000 a month. Flexible hours. Minimal experience. It sounded like a dream. He had recently lost his job at a small retail store and was desperate to pay rent. He applied immediately. Within hours, he received a response. A cheerful woman named Angela welcomed him to the team, explaining that the job involved receiving packages and reshipping them to clients abroad who had issues with direct delivery. She even sent him a contract, albeit in a Google Doc, with a company name that seemed oddly generic. Global Solutions Now. Despite the red flags, everything moved fast. Angela asked Marcus to take a photo of himself holding his ID for verification, which he sent without hesitation. Soon, boxes began arriving. Laptops, smartphones, designer shoes, all brand new, all expensive. He was told to repackage them carefully and use the prepaid FedEx or DHL shipping labels they provided. At first, it felt suspicious. But when the first $2,000 showed up in his account, right on schedule, his doubt began to fade. He even recommended the job to a friend, who also applied and was hired. For a brief moment, Marcus felt like things were finally looking up. Then the email stopped. The tracking numbers he had been given no longer worked. Angela's email bounced back. When Marcus checked his bank account, not only had the funds been reversed, but his account was now flagged for suspicious activity. He received a letter from his bank stating that he was under investigation for participating in credit card fraud. Panic set in. He started Googling phrases like remote shipping job scam and reshipping fraud. That's when he discovered forums like Scam Warners, Ripoff Report, and Reddit's RH Scams, all filled with stories nearly identical to his. The scam was known in law enforcement circles as a parcel mule operation, often connected to international criminal organizations based in Eastern Europe. The FBI's official site even had a warning about it, dated back to 2017. Marcus realized he had unknowingly become part of a global money laundering network. He was contacted by federal agents within weeks. After multiple interviews and providing full cooperation, he avoided jail time, but not without consequences. His credit was wrecked, his bank accounts were frozen for months, and he lost several job opportunities when background checks flagged his name. To this day, Marcus refuses to shop online using his home address. His friend, who also took the job, wasn't so lucky. She ended up losing nearly everything after her name appeared on an Interpol list temporarily. The psychological toll was immense. Panic attacks, sleepless nights, the fear of a knock at the door. Lesson learned. If your remote job requires using your home address as a warehouse and the company has zero online presence, it's not a job, it's bait. If you're curious, search for Reshipping Scam FBI site or Parcel Mule Job Reddit to see dozens of cases just like this one. Case 2. The voice acting gig. That wasn't just acting. Samantha Lopez had always dreamed of doing voice work. After years of uploading samples to freelance platforms, she finally got a response that seemed legit. A startup claiming to work with AI voice synthesis wanted her to record a series of technical prompts for a language learning app. The pay was generous, $500 for 30 minutes of voice work, and all communication came through what appeared to be a professional platform called Vocavio Solutions. The scripts she received were weird, but nothing alarming, full of random phrases like initialize phase 4 or upload sector delta files. Samantha shrugged it off as quirky tech lingo. She submitted the recordings and got paid within 24 hours. It seemed like a dream gig. She even posted about it on LinkedIn, encouraging others to pursue similar work in emerging tech fields. For a brief moment, Samantha felt like her career was finally taking off. 2 months later, her friend sent her a link. "Is this your voice?" the message said. Confused, she clicked and froze. It was a news clip from YouTube. The video showed a deep fake of a well-known CEO confessing to insider trading. The visuals were eerily convincing, but what shocked her most was the voice. It was hers. Panicked, she searched deeper. Her voice was all over the internet. Voicemails, fake customer support recordings, even videos promoting crypto rug pulls and medical misinformation, all altered just enough to sound automated, but undeniably her tone, cadence, even signature, phrasing. She tried to contact Vocavio Solutions. Their website returned a 404 error. Emails bounced. Their supposed office address in Chicago didn't exist. She contacted a lawyer. The legal response? Complicated, because she had signed over full commercial use rights in the contract. In dense legal language she hadn't fully read. She had little recourse. Identity theft laws didn't yet apply cleanly to voice cloning or AI-generated impersonation. The emotional toll was overwhelming. She became paranoid, deleting her social media, refusing to answer unknown calls. Her freelance gigs dried up after one of her regular clients asked if she was involved in a financial scam he'd seen on TikTok, one that used her voice. She wasn't alone. A Vice article later exposed a pattern of voice actors being exploited by AI companies, including several reports linked to shell corporations registered in the Cayman Islands and Malta. One actor claimed his voice had been used to impersonate a paramedic in a fake emergency call scam. Samantha's story became part of a growing movement advocating for voice print protection and ethical AI usage. She started a support group, online for others affected, and ironically, using her real, unaltered voice, began speaking at conferences about the dangers of unchecked synthetic media. Now, every time she hears a robo-voice on a commercial or helpline, she listens. Twice, just in case. Case 3. The translator who didn't know she was smuggling cocaine. Carla Mendez, a bilingual schoolteacher from Austin, Texas, had recently lost her job and was desperate for income when she received an email from a professional-looking agency. Offering a remote translation contract, she jumped at the opportunity. The agency claimed to need Spanish to English document translators for sensitive legal files, mostly between US and Colombian firms. The interview was brief but convincing. They asked her to sign a non-disclosure agreement and complete a short test, which she passed. Her first few tasks were simple: translate scanned contracts and notarized letters. Payment came swiftly, via wire transfer, and within a month she was on their trusted team. Then came a new assignment: pick up original documents in Bogotá and return with them to the US. They explained that due to the confidential nature of the case, originals couldn't be shipped electronically. Carla was hesitant, but they booked her flight, paid for the hotel, and even provided a signed letter of authorization on what looked like official stationery. At the Bogotá office, a man in a navy blue suit handed her a heavy leather briefcase, sealed with a combination lock. "Do not open," he said, smiling. "The documents are protected and fragile." Trusting the legitimacy of the company, Carla obeyed. The flight back to Houston was uneventful, until she reached customs. An officer looked at her passport, scanned her bag, and asked her to step aside. He was polite, but firm. "Do you mind opening the briefcase?" Carla froze. "I don't have the code," she said. "It belongs to the company." Within seconds, a K-9 unit approached. The dog immediately alerted. Agents moved swiftly. Tools came out. The case was pried open. Inside, hidden beneath a false bottom, was 2.7 kilograms of high-purity cocaine, tightly packed in vacuum-sealed bags. Carla was arrested on the spot. She tried to explain everything: the emails, the contract, the test translation, the NDA. But to authorities, it looked like a perfect cover story. The company website had disappeared overnight. The domain had been purchased anonymously and registered offshore. In the interrogation room, Carla broke down sobbing. She kept repeating, "I thought I was just translating documents." No one believed her. Not at first. Her mugshot made local headlines. Students from her former school recognized her face. Within days, she was trending on Twitter under hashtags like Junst teacher turned smuggler. Her family refused to speak to the press. Her teaching license was suspended pending investigation. It took 3 months in detention, hundreds of pages of evidence, and a lawyer who specialized in international scams to turn her case around. A BBC expose in 2019 helped uncover a pattern of similar incidents involving unknowing drug mules recruited through fake translation gigs. Eventually, Carla was released on probation after proving she had never opened or altered the case and had no criminal record or connections to drug trafficking. But the damage was done. She lost her job, her reputation, and her peace of mind. She no longer travels. She doesn't translate. She barely leaves her apartment. Now she speaks anonymously through forums and webinars, warning others in the freelance world. Her message is simple. If they ask you to fly for paperwork, it's not a job, it's a setup. Case 4. The babysitting job with no baby. Lucia Morales was 26 when she saw the listing on a local job site in Madrid. Seeking live-in nanny, high salary, flexible schedule, all expenses paid. The family described themselves as creative, professionals who wanted their children raised with emotional intelligence and improvisational play. It sounded idyllic, a perfect opportunity for someone with her background in child psychology and drama therapy. She messaged the number listed, and the replies were immediate. The mother, Clara, claimed to be a theatre director. She spoke passionately about raising children in a non-traditional way and praised Lucia's values. After a brief video call in which Clara appeared friendly but intense, Lucia was hired and asked to move in the next day. When she arrived at the apartment, things were strange. There were toys scattered around, children's books on the shelves, and half-eaten baby food jars in the trash, but no sign of any children. "They're with their grandmother this week," Clara explained casually. "We'd like to see how you interact with the space and prepare your presents before they return." Lucia was instructed to rehearse imaginative games, perform bedtime routines, and narrate aloud as if the children were there. She was asked to record herself, reading fairy tales while cooking, pretending to change diapers, and cleaning the living room as if a toddler had just gone to sleep. All of it felt bizarre. But she reassured herself. It's theatre, she thought. Maybe they're eccentric. She followed the instructions. After all, the pay was excellent, and the written contract seemed legitimate. Still, something gnawed at her. By the third day, Clara stopped replying to messages. The apartment felt cold and staged. There were no photos, no clutter, no sign of actual life, just silence. That evening, while organizing the bookshelves, Lucia noticed a small blinking light tucked behind a stack of old children's drawings. She froze. A camera. Her heart pounded. She began searching. In the smoke detector above the crib. In. A decorative lamp beside the couch. Behind the bathroom mirror. 7 in total. Each one positioned to capture every corner of the apartment. She realized she had been performing, unknowingly, for someone else's entertainment. She packed her things and left without looking back. At the police station, her story was met with quiet recognition. She wasn't the first. Officers traced the lease to a short-term rental paid with a prepaid foreign credit card. The woman calling herself Clara had used forged identification and was untraceable. Weeks later, Lucia discovered that several of her recorded videos had been uploaded to anonymous voyeurism forums. Clips of her reading, pretending, cleaning, always unaware. Her face blurred, but her voice and body unmistakable. One file was named Nanny Routine, Real Cam Footage, MP4. Her case made national headlines in Spain. Advocacy groups cited her experience as a chilling example of digital exploitation and manipulation. She gave interviews, under a pseudonym, and eventually testified anonymously in a parliamentary hearing on privacy laws. 2 years later, Spain passed legislation expanding criminal penalties for non-consensual recordings in private rental properties, partly inspired by her case and others like it. Lucia never returned to childcare work. She changed fields completely, now helping other victims of digital exploitation find legal and psychological support. Her advice? If a job asks you to perform for a child who isn't there, walk away. You're not auditioning. You're being watched. Case 5. The assistant job that stole her identity. Nina Brooks had just graduated from college when she found the listing. Personal assistant needed for tech entrepreneur. Remote, flexible, 1,000 tons week. The job seemed perfect. It was posted on a reputable career site, and the description matched everything she was looking for. The client, who introduced himself as Logan M., said he was a digital nomad working across Europe and Asia. All Nina had to do was help. With scheduling, answer emails, and run occasional errands. She went through a brief but professional video interview. Logan seemed friendly, slightly distracted, the way you'd expect a busy tech guy to be. She signed a contract, got a welcome email, and was added to a Slack workspace labeled LM, Ventures Team. It all looked legitimate. She was even introduced to a few remote co-workers in the chat. Names, roles, profile pictures. The first week was smooth. She arranged calendar invites, organized Google Drive folders, and sent follow-up emails to what appeared to be real venture contacts. Then Logan asked her to buy a few local items, some prepaid phones, a webcam, and several gift cards, which would be reimbursed immediately. She submitted receipts, and within an hour, money arrived via Zelle. Her trust grew. Logan praised her work, even offering a small bonus for being quick and reliable. Then came the big ask. He said he was having issues opening a U.S. business account remotely due to banking restrictions abroad. He asked if she could open one in her name, just to hold funds temporarily. "You're just a proxy," he said. "Think of it like being an authorized rep." Nina hesitated, but he wired her $1,500 up front, labeled it a good faith deposit, and insisted it was standard. The next day, she opened the account and sent over the login credentials. That's when everything started to fall apart. A week later, she woke up to find her personal bank account frozen. Her new business account had been flagged for suspicious transfers involving thousands of dollars linked to stolen credit cards and hacked crypto wallets. She received a call from the bank's fraud division, and then a notice from the IRS, alerting her to undeclared income. Her credit score dropped over 200 points in less than a month. She couldn't apply for an apartment, a car loan, or even a basic credit card. She tried contacting Logan. His email bounced. The Slack group vanished. The co-workers she'd messaged. Their profiles were fake, AI-generated photos, and auto-responses. It was all a facade. She reported everything to the FTC. They called it synthetic proxy fraud, a rising scam tactic where cybercriminals impersonate business owners to recruit unwitting individuals as financial intermediaries. Her case became part of a growing federal investigation. The aftermath was brutal. Nina spent months working with a consumer protection lawyer, trying to clear her name. She had to provide over 200 pages of email chains, receipts, bank statements, and affidavits. She missed job opportunities. She lost friends who assumed she had done something illegal. Anxiety attacks became frequent. For over a year, she lived off savings and moved back in with her parents. Today, Nina speaks at digital safety workshops for college students and freelancers. Her story is featured in a recent federal advisory report on identity theft and employment scams. Her warning is clear. If a job ever asks you to use your identity to open an account, don't walk. Run. Is case 6, the feedback job that left him alone with his mind. Jonas Keller was a postgraduate student in Berlin, studying human-computer interaction, when he saw the listing on a university research board. Participant needed. Sensory environment testing, $2,000 for 48 hours. The job was simple. Spend 2 days in a prototype smart living module and give structured feedback afterward. Meals, clothing, and sleeping arrangements would be provided. No phone, no laptop, just analog journals and sensory input devices. The sponsor, a biotech startup called NeuroNiche, claiming to study cognitive recovery in low-stimulation environments. Jonas was skeptical, but the money was good. The university ethics board had approved the listing, and he was curious. And after a short briefing at a local campus lab, he signed a multi-page consent form and was taken by van to a warehouse on the outskirts of the city. The space looked like something out of a sci-fi film. Clean, white, modular. He was given a grey jumpsuit, a sleep mask, and a journal with color-coded prompts. There were no mirrors, no windows. The lighting changed subtly throughout the day to simulate a circadian rhythm. It was cold, but not uncomfortable. He assumed cameras were watching, though no one confirmed that. The first few hours were uneventful. He wrote in the journal, explored the furniture, listened to ambient sounds coming from embedded speakers. He expected someone to check in. No one did. By hour 10, time felt slower. He began hearing strange noises, mechanical clicks, faint static, what sounded like whispers behind the walls. He laughed it off, but when the meal slot opened silently for the third time, and he realized he hadn't seen a single human face since entering, the laughter stopped. He tried the door. It was locked. There was no emergency button, no intercom, no way to communicate. His only lifeline was the journal, and even that began to feel like a trap. Prompts became unsettling. Describe the last memory you're sure is real. How does your identity change in silence? By hour 20, Jonas stopped writing. Sleep became fragmented. The lights dimmed, but never went fully dark. At one point, he fell asleep on the floor and woke up to find the bed made. He hadn't done it. He called out. No one answered. At hour 30, panic set in. He began pacing in circles, counting steps. He pressed his ear to the wall, hoping for sound. At one point, he screamed. Nothing happened. By the second night, he was hallucinating. The ceiling appeared to pulse, and he was convinced the journal was being rewritten behind his back. He tried to tear it up, only to find a new one in its place the next morning. At hour 50, the door clicked open. A man in casual clothes, holding a clipboard, entered. "Thank you for your participation," he said, smiling like nothing had happened. No apology, no explanation. Just a form to sign and a taxi waiting outside. Back in his apartment, Jonas tried to find information. Neuroniche's website was gone. The campus lab that had approved the study was suddenly under review. Emails bounced. He started posting online and soon discovered other scattered accounts. Forums in Polish and German, mentions of similar trials in Austria and Finland. Most of them described the same sensory setup, the same eerie silence. Some called it sensory overstimulation isolation. Others believed it was a behavioral mapping study run off the books, possibly to test environments for prisons, retail layouts, or even advertising efficacy in confined spaces. Jonas developed chronic insomnia and panic attacks in the weeks that followed. He withdrew from his master's program. He hasn't stepped into a windowless room since. Now, he collects anonymous testimonies from others who claim to have undergone similar studies. His pinned post on Reddit ends with one line. If they say 48 hours and lock the door, you're not a participant, you're the experiment. They were just looking for work, a little extra money, a flexible schedule. But what they got was isolation, criminal records, identity theft, and in some cases, trauma that never really left. These 6 stories are a chilling reminder that, in a world of instant connections and anonymous opportunities, not everything that sounds easy is safe. Sometimes the job finds you, and sometimes the cost isn't just your time, it's your trust, your sanity, or worse, your name written on a file you didn't know existed. So if you've ever filled out an online form that asked for just a little too much, if you've ever received an offer that felt strangely perfect, or if you've ever wondered who's watching when no one's supposed to be there, you're not paranoid, you're paying attention. If this episode left you unsettled in the best way, give it a like so more people can find it. And subscribe for new tales every week that pull you deeper into the bizarre. We're just getting started. See you in the next one.